You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, hello. How's everybody doing? It is another beautiful day here in New York City. Little hot, but otherwise pretty fantastic. I wanted to come on today and talk about something that's a bit of a kaleidoscope, and I avoided talking about it because it is such a kaleidoscope, which is the mark on Amanda Knox's neck that was seen after Meredith Kercher's murder. Now, I avoided talking about it, like I said, because if you're a supporter, you will see a love bite, aka a hickey. And if you are a non-supporter, you will see a scratch. So let me just show you really quick what it looks like. So you can see this was taken many days after, about a week after Meredith's murder. And you can see it's if it was a scratch, it's healed quite a bit. And it's kind of odd and if it's a love bite, right? You'd say it's faded, but I found some testimony from Amanda Knox's trial of people who saw this up close. And I'd just like to read it. The first person who I'd like to read is Laura Mazzetti, who was a law student. She lived with Amanda and Philomena and Meredith. Philomena was also a law student. That's my understanding. So Mannyy says, and this is translated, so it's going to sound to an English speaker's ear, it's going to sound a little awkward because it's been translated from Italian. So Mannyy says, another thing, she saw Amanda if she had any injury, some scratches, some hurt. Laura, I realized this day Amanda had an injury in the neck. And I noticed that when I was at the police headquarters, it was known that Short Meredith had died because of an injured neck. So I impressed myself so much. I was very careful to see how she was Amanda. I was very worried about her. And I realized she had this scratch on her neck. And yes, I noticed that. Mannyy, do you think it could be something related to sex? Laura, no, it seemed. Mannyy, this scratch, she has called that. Laura, I have spoken before because I thought this scratch was obvious to everyone. As I noticed that day, I noticed it immediately. I repeat, just for the fact that Meredith had been killed with a cut to the throat. So I noticed this scratch, Amanda, and I did not report it because I was convinced that everyone had noticed it. I have been scolded by agents because telling me how I had not reported this scratch, and they called me to report this circumstance. I report that I had noticed this scratch. Okay. This is a question we can ask. Let's just take a little break. Then we'll return after this word. If you are enjoying this episode of my True Crime Report, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. Get access to exclusive podcasts and other bonus content by becoming a patron today. If you have a question or comment for me, shoot me a super chat and I'll do my best to answer it and read it on air. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. Okay, so we're all on the same page. So the defense attorney, no, this is still Mannyy asks this. Okay, so this is a question we can ask, but then she saw the picture, meaning you got this idea from the scratch from this picture where you can see it. And I believe they're referring to the picture of, if I had to guess, but this is obviously just a guess. I wasn't in court. I don't know. Would be the picture of Raph and Amanda outside the villa. So Laura says, I remembered the scratch. Then at the police station, I said that this scratch on her throat was also present in a picture. You could see clearly, even from a photo found on the internet, but it's not that I have looked at the photos before and then I said, quote, like, oh yes, I remember this scratch. And this is the defense attorney. Because she excludes, he said in the report, when he says, because it excludes that the scratch could be a hickey, as he called it. We all know what a hickey is, but because it excludes. Okay. Laura says, because I've seen hickeys and they differ from a scratch. The scratch is usually, the skin is raised, reddened. A hickey tends to be purplish, is an almost round shape, then known a little to distinguish it. And then she goes on to say, lawyer, in my opinion, it is a scratch, but also because I remember well that it was a scratch that I see in this photo, absolutely a scratch. And Mannyy says he does not remember when she saw this occasion scratch on November 2nd to the police station, to which he was away from Amanda Knox, was close, far away. So I assume that's he, meaning Solecito. Mannyy says roughly the distance that we can have. Mannyy, 2 or 3 meters? Yes. She says, because we were all, Mannyy says, at a distance of 3 meters. Can describe this. She called a scratch. If I can describe it, it was vertical, horizontal, long. Laura says, was vertical, thick enough, and less than a centimeter, but still showed. Mannyy, and the color and the color of it, Laura, red. Mannyy, bright red or red? Red? Laura, red, yes. It was as long as you remember, longer than wide? Laura, longer than wide. Mannyy, and she thought for a scratch? Laura, I thought of a scratch, yes. It seemed to me a scratch. I repeat, I focused as much attention because I was afraid that Amanda might have been hurt, that I did not know what had happened at home, and I was worried, and I noticed this. I looked at him almost assiduously, that scratch, but here is not, Mannyy, the scratch where it was located at the end of the neck, or Laura, around here. So obviously she's motioning. Mannyy, so close enough to the chin, in short, to put it in. Laura, yep. But Laura wasn't the only one who noticed this scratch. The translator, Aida Toni, she noticed the scratch. She was the interpreter for the Ministry of Interior. And this is her testimony. She says, and it also goes into Amanda's attitude in the police stations. Gets kind of interesting. A behavior, let us say something to Amanda that struck me on that occasion was immediately after the interrogation when she was interviewed around 3 p.m. in the offices of the flying squad. Then we finished, and she was made to sit in a waiting room. At some point, I don't know if I had moved away for a moment to talk with someone from the flying squad, or whether I was passing by this room or returning to this small room where I remember very well she was alone. She was all by herself in that room, actually. I realized that this girl was really drained, exhausted. She was tired because I actually found her resting on a chair with her head tilted toward the wall, white in the face, with her eyes closed. White. I was greatly affected by her pallor, and I realized that this girl was not feeling very well at all. Precisely in addition to the paleness of the face and neck, I noticed a red mark on the neck, which became imprinted in my mind and to which I didn't attribute any importance because, obviously, I was impressed by the paleness of her skin. By this red mark, I realized that the girl was feeling ill, and I approached her and asked, "Amanda, how are you? Are you all right?" She recovered at that point, recomposed, also her position, her posture, and said to me, quote, "Yes, I haven't slept. I haven't eaten. My period started this morning and I am exhausted." Mannyy, what day was that? The 3rd? Aida, it was Sunday, November 4th. The interview had just been finished. It was probably around 3 or 4 p.m. I don't know. After that, I said to her, "Listen, the police station cafeteria is closed at this hour, but would you like to go downstairs? There is a vending machine and you could have something to eat if you want to. Shall we go?" So that is the testimony of 2 people who confirm that Amanda had a scratch. Now, obviously, it's very faint when you look at it here because it's been many, many days afterwards. I believe this was taken on the 6th, so like close to a week afterwards, 5 to 7 days afterwards, and it's going to fade. But I've always been interested in it because I really do feel it is a kaleidoscope, depending on how you in this form, and depending on what you believe about this case. Let me know what you think about this. I think the testimony is very interesting, and certainly the people closest physically to Amanda felt that they were very certain it was a scratch. So that is all I have for today. I'm going to just keep it really brief. Thank you to everyone who signed up on my Patreon. I have a really great episode that was a lot of fun to make on the notorious Natalye Grace Barnett that's up in there, as well as a host of other exclusive podcasts and other content. Become a patron today. Thanks so much. Have a great night, and I'll catch you back here again sometime soon. Good night.